Clumsy and Skydump are trying to chase him down, but more importantly still, there was still Kazi and Davo off in the distance. And if they go near that hill face that looks directly into Squibbly, they will see Bello.
You have to be so careful. And as does anyone that gets in the way of Chap and Flixie in here at Dark Dominion. They're a team that have already booked their spot into the grand finals tomorrow. They're going to be looking at conditioning the rest of the lobby. Yuma, Koyota, a team that we haven't seen enough of today. They need to make it all happen in this final game. Remember, this is a team that know this drop spot well. They have that advantage. Hits a huge shot to Chap already, trying to close in on the distance as well, but Chap's able to find the heals. Yuma's trying to find an angle as well, but Chap is able to find a position of healing. Flixie looking for another angle from a different wall, getting looked at from Koyota. Koyota can't quite find a way through either. Chap's trying to find a response, but it's just a stalemate right now.
Yeah, for Koyota, it's a big shot to open up the fight. Unfortunately enough, they were unable to really follow up on it. Big advantage over Chap, but Flixie's even dropped down to just 1 HP before he's eventually knocked by Scare. The third party comes in. We knew this lobby was going to get aggressive quick, but it's happening at a much faster pace that even I have anticipated as Koyota and Yuma. They need this here. They got some early damage, but they don't want to be a part of this mess anymore. They're using that porta potty and they're getting out.
They need to get out of Dodge because so many other teams already working their way over towards Dark Dominion. Chap as a solo, but you have to remember, he's already done what he needed to. 200 points, safe and secure inside of that consistency metric. It doesn't matter if he goes down, but can he play spoiler to Scare and Osid? They're looking to take up the fight. They know that this is an injured solo, but how much further can they push him? And finally, they get that elimination. Koyota and Yuma, though, thanking their lucky stars that they didn't have to continue that exchange, but it does suck in the end because they didn't get the opportunity to properly loot the bodies.
Some cheating, remember, uncontested off spawn. They're going to have to try and look for the damage elsewhere. Of course, already found that early elimination. They'll be happy with that, but the rest of the game needs to go their way. 34 points. The win is going to be what they're looking at right here, Jacob. It's not going to be easy, though. We haven't seen enough of them today. They haven't performed at their best. And for two players of this caliber, you just expect so much more. And they do it now.
Yeah, unfortunately for Yanis and cheating all day long, they're essentially at a 50-50 drop spot. You either get the loot, you get the weapons, or you don't. And they've been on the receiving end of a couple losses in some of those games, but the one that matters most, they're still alive. Chino and Pablo, couple struggles to start the day for them. We've seen it yesterday as well. Triple contested, does do things to you at the end of the day, but they have been finding their stride to close it out. And now they're at 190 points, and it doesn't look like they're slowing down anytime soon.
Chino and Pablo are ready to settle the score. They were hunting Mini Theo and Fukun because they are just way too close for comfort. Pablo and Chino are sick of it being a triple contested situation over at Sandy Strip. They want to and guarantee that it'll just be them versus Victor V and Kanata in tomorrow's competition. Still, Osid, Scare, they're doing everything in their power to just put themselves in a best case scenario to try and win out in this lobby because that's what they need. They need the BR in order to get into tomorrow's competition.
Here on the other side, Scare and Osid need these elims. They need a big game. You can see very close on the standings at the moment. So for both of these teams, it is of equal importance. And that's why we see Haman right here trying to look for an overdrive grenade away. But oh no, Scare and Osid, they are scary right now. They are closing on through. Haman will not get away that easy. Scare just needs to try and find the final few shots to take him out. He just can't hit them here. They're still chasing him on through.
Spend this much time though, pursuit of one individual. Scare and Osid are lucky that they haven't encountered anybody else along the way. They were beelining for him and finally they'd be able to cut him off. So Scare, Osid, they add yet another elimination. That's 5 in total. And you could be right. It might just be a go big or go home instance. Maybe the Victory Royale could be in their sights, but it could also just be a lot of points off the eliminations and a strong placement finish.
This is one of those teams right here. Mini Pio and Fukun, they've been kind of going under the radar until that last game. Almost had me cheering them on. If they would have got the Victory Royale, they could have got a bunch of points to put themselves in control of their entire destiny as Yanis and cheating. They know it's not just the Victory Royale, it's the eliminations, because if a lot of those teams along their path, in and outside of the bubble, do go down, that gives them a chance if they get enough eliminations in a high-scoring game to where they might not need the Victory Royale. A little bit more of a long shot, but it's definitely possible.
Hide and seek worked. He wasn't seeked, if you like, as Velo can find the reboot onto Mr. Savage, keeping them in this game, Taco. But of course, their entire game plan, they're now going to be behind. They took so much damage there in those previous fights, so they're going to need to try and find enough damage to make that happen. Epic, Well, and Pump, a really solid game from those guys in that previous one. They need to make something happen here as well, but oh no, Savage down again.
Savage just never got the chance. Teams are looking every which direction. The moment the audio cue sounds out, another player is looking to close in, but even still, Velo at least has one silver lining. And it's a reach in the dark. It's a long shot, but with the way that the lobby is thinning out so rapidly, excuse that last reboot that just took place though to bump it right back up to 60, they might not have to worry about search threshold, but first and foremost, Velo has to escape. He needs to just find a way to position himself and make it into the zone to begin with.
Just really interesting. He moves on over towards Riptides, but doesn't know they're overstaying their welcome on the side of Epic Whale and Pump. It's Mr. Savage. Another reboot opportunity. This is how he went down to Momsy and Sky Jump. And you see on the mini-map in that moment, that's when Velo had no choice. I can't continue to be the hero when you have no loot, but he is going to get another opportunity here.
Saw it right there. 70% of their points have been from solo clutches. That's the story of this season as well. So Velo needs to make it all happen right now, even if it is a solo situation throughout the rest of this game. Really putting themselves under it right now because they've got to make it all happen at the end of this game. A team that don't know Taco, Ages and Ritual, experimentation, trying different things, playing back inside of the storm, maybe experimenting with tomorrow.
And this feels like watching a breath of fresh air in action because Agers and Ritual, they have all the time in the world. They can do whatever they want. They can get eliminated in the next couple of seconds, and it wouldn't make a difference. They have secured their spot for the Summit Finals. But now, Sato, Hodesai, they're also looking to take control of their fate and make it onto tomorrow's battle bus. First, they'll have to contend, though, with the team left over at Wonky Land, King and Phaser. But King and Phaser, they're not interested. They're just trying to play this one out.
Second time is maybe Mr. Savage. Can you survive? Yes, you can. But for how long? A little bit of HP. Medkits being passed. They have absolutely nothing to their name. And in a 2-tick zone, they're not going to have a lot of time to actually loot up and get the loadout that they want. So they're just going to be scrapping their way through the end of this game. But at 116, again, they were that team that is on the line. If they could somehow make it out of zone to start scoring some placement points, they should be okay.
2-tick zone though, the storm is moving in. It's going to get increasingly more difficult for them to get on in here in a good situation. Maybe if they even make it in. They don't have any loot. Mr. Savage doesn't have anything. So if this is going to happen for them, they're doing it in style.
Even when they make it into the zone, though, they'll have that constant looming threat of storm sickness. We haven't seen too many duos threatened by it throughout today's matches, but this would definitely be a circumstance where I could see that taking over just because of how much time Velo has had to position himself inside a storm to bring Savage back. Skyjump and Momsy, though, devious start. Chasing down Velo from the beginning has now left them in a position where they've got ample surge and they're looking to make their next move.
And for a couple of teams in this lobby, it is looking good. Fadil and Ju specifically, 400 damage above the threshold. They're looking for opportunities for more. Cheat and Yanis, they're the ones in their line of sight, and they cause a little bit of a distraction. It does look like Cheatin was just taken down, leaving Yanis by himself. You got to blame Fadil and Ju a little bit for that causing the distraction. But at 122 points, you see them inside of that bubble, but they are not safe. They still need to perform decently well in this game to secure that spot.
Max full zone, absolute nightmare situation for them right now, but how are they going to handle it? Overdrive grenades goes through. They just decide to white line it here, try and go the easy way through, get on top of this hill. An important position for them to find themselves in as the rest of the lobby also try and find their way on through. Where will they position themselves next? Every single move they make here, Taco, has increased importance.
For Braids and Visuals, they might find themselves a little bit cut off. Bit hesitant to try and move out initially. They knew that Randu was right next door. They didn't want to be at risk of losing their shields. They're gonna opt to take a little bit more of an isolated path here, wrapping all the way around through some of their pre-existing builds even, but so far so good. Nobody's holding down that hill, still just ahead of them, and so they will be able to work their way into this next edge of zone.
Give or take 3 eliminations worth of points for Visuals and Braids. That's how close this game actually is, as Velo and Savage end up in another scuffle. FaZe and Gerald on the other side, but luckily for them, they're 74 above. They get tagged up yet again, 35, quickly falling. They aggressed onto him. Gerald ends up in the whole box, but they're just trying to backtrack in their steps. They don't want to give it up here. They're 196 above. Surprisingly, look at their loadout, Spinny. You almost would have never guessed they went down. He takes a big shot, but he fires one back. Gerald goes down. Velo gets sprayed from all around. 25 HP, and they lose control and go down.
There are no winners in this exchange, though, Jacob. Faison might have won it out initially, but he is still inside of the storm. Everybody else in the lobby looking his way, waiting for him to try and make his entry point. But Cazers, Xavier, everyone else just looking to shut him out.
Modesai Sato had a really good off spawn this time. They needed to make this game count, but no, with Sato going down, Modesai follows. Gino and Pablo continue to find their fighting prowess in these lobbies to again solidify their spot in the grand finals. They're having fun.
Yeah, you see 14th place, 18th place, both of them down, and this is just one of those moments where you have to just sit and wait. Pray nobody passes you on that leaderboard, and maybe even cheering for a team like this, for Chino and Pablo, to take out your competition. But they're at 194 points. They've been on fire as of recently, and they don't look to slow down yet. But as we move in this zone, we're going up towards the top of that mountain. So this one, if you don't have enough builds or aren't prepared for the different elevation changes, I bid you farewell.
12th through 14th, though, those duos have already been eliminated from this lobby. The cutoff range really appears to be where Josh and Zoe were last seen, in that 11th place position, and it's going to be very close here. Braids, Visuals, still trying to do what they can to play leapfrog in the final moments.
Fast Brokey repairs, looking to play for that height right now. Chino lost Pablo down to 6 HP, trying to hide away, but it's not going to matter. He's down and out, but they'll be rocketing themselves all the way through to the grand finals tomorrow. What a performance from them.
See, Yanis just trying to go ahead and shockwave to try to grab some of the loot. But unfortunately enough, he ends up on the backside of that zone, having to figure out a way out of that position. But for Alex and Reckless, OCE's best. They got 4 eliminations, 116 points. Not sure what that threshold is now, but you see they're just outside of that bubble. 1 elimination, 1 placement point, and if one team goes down, they will take it.
Alex was saying earlier on, he's the face of OCE. You want the face of OCE in the top level of competition. Epic Well and Pump here, able to find a little bit of loot here of Karama. That's going to be huge for them going into this endgame. Of course, the zone's pulling back into that way as well, so they can extend into that zone. But oh no, they're getting knocked on the door. There's another team spraying at them here. It's not going to be easy.
And Medeo under so much pressure right now, but just barely going to be above the surge threshold. Still, he has to try and pick up whatever points he can, because it is way too close for comfort. 124 points, 3 teams tied at the same margin. He cannot afford to go down anytime soon. He needs all the placement he can build, maybe some eliminations to go with it.
So many solo clutches this season from the deal. What bigger time to do it for him right now? We saw it in the last chance qualifier in Major 1. He came so close to winning out the game. All he needs to do now is find a few more of these placement points. Getting into those is going to be so vital for them. Fast Roki and repairs reclaim that high ground as well. And looking on down at the rest of the lobby and looking at their points, Jacob, they need this win.
Yeah, and they're putting themselves in the best position possible to take it. We know high ground wins games, even though low ground might win a chance.